Hello, my name is Thomas Kramer-Wolf. I'm product manager for Pascal, and today I'd like to present to you the changes of the actual version 1.70 compared to the predecessor versions. Those changes are mainly required because we are now supporting the new library format from VDA 66147. The changes are mainly in the libraries area, so that's the reason why I'm starting right now with a predefined project. On the right side you see the library view. The library view comes with a number of buttons, and the most dominant one is the one which is actually red one, the filter view, which allows me to select what sort of information is displayed on the library view. I selected right here for our test purpose all functions to be available. I just expand one of the libraries and I show you the difference. Right now I've got all the things activated, and if I reduce it I can select what is shown actually on the screen. But for the test, let's continue with everything activated. The information right here might be different from library to library, so if you import a library from Systema format, some of the levels might be not showing all necessary information. The use is quite simple. It's done by drag and drop, so I'm just right now collapsing all the libraries again and select a component. The component I'm selecting is one of the PNODs, the PNODs base unit, and if I expand it, you see I've got a material number and a version number assigned to the PNODs along with a number of use cases, and if I just drag and drop those use cases to the editor window, I'm done. But I can do so just the same by dropping the material number, and in this case I get a selection of what sort of operating mode is required for the safety function. Right here I get the selection. It's quite different from the previous view as you know it from 1.6, where we had just the operating modes with a drop-down bar. Right here I see the part number, the version number, and the use cases, as we call them today, coming with a hierarchy in 5 different levels. And if I select one level, I automatically get the remaining offers for a valid function. So yeah, see right now everything is ticked green and I'm ready to have it there. If I go one level higher, I get the same again, but that I've got right now different material numbers, so I can even select on a device name without knowing the material numbers yet. For the test, I erase those two those two devices again and use a little bit a simpler one, and I use a simpler access to the device. I just enter in the top line of the library view the name of the product, and the simpler the term is, the easier naturally it's to enter it. Right here I'm selecting the PNODs as 4.1 and I just drag it over. You see this particular device comes only with 4 different part numbers. Main difference are here things like the clamps, whether I have a cage clamp or a screw clamp. I just select one, and on the hierarchies I just have constraint not available, which means practically there is nothing to select. If I click OK, I have my PNODs selected. For the sensor, let's have a ME2, and I just drag it over. Again, I've got this selection menu. I didn't know the material number, but in this case there is just one. I know it's a sensor, and I like to use it as a dual channel device, so everything is done. But this time I cannot click OK because I need to configure the device first. On the top line I get the note that I need to enter the operations per time unit and this is in the Configure Device tab. This tab is pretty well known from the previous version, so there are practically no changes. I enter the number of operations, so let's enter 10 per hour. And I may enter the diagnostic coverage. Right here we've got a minor change. The diagnostic coverage is right now a neutral field, and I directly enter the value. For those who don't know which value to enter, hit the F1 key. You get a help screen. And on the help screen, you can get additional information on how to configure the component. If you scroll a bit down, you find about the diagnostic coverage, a help about estimation of the diagnostic coverage. And here is all the list of 13849 with measures and diagnostic coverages. And so you can just check there what diagnostic coverage is appropriate for your system. So let's say 99%, as this is a sensor with cross-checking. So I've got two devices already selected. So if you have a look right now at the devices, it only shows the product name, not all the details. If you click on a device itself, you can get the further details in the properties. And right here you see, if I click on the PSEN, that I selected the constraint sensor dual channel for general purpose. So this may help if I have similar devices with different use cases. So for example, a sensor, a logic device with an input and an output function, and it will just differentiate itself in the selected constraints. The library view offers a few more features. If I'm having a look at the top level, I have the option to select the libraries. The select library allows me to keep a bit track of what libraries I'm really using. If I tick it, I have all my selected libraries, and I can remove them to non-selected, and by doing so they are disappearing from the view, so I don't need to scroll all the libraries which I usually don't use. Here comes with one additional feature, libraries which offer multiple entries. These multiple entries can either show different parts of a manufacturer, so if a manufacturer decides to have only sensors in one library and only actors in another library, this is one reason for it. The other reason is if you get different releases of the same library, you can import them at the same time. They show up right here, but only the newest one will be automatically taken. The libraries come as well with one feature which is pretty tricky. If I expand it right here, you see differences. One have the bar, and the other have a box with a red arrow. The one with the red arrow are archived components, so usually you don't get them displayed. If I click on the filter and I unselect the archived, they go away. So I'm only selecting active libraries and active components as I do my daily work, but I don't lose the capability to use them if I should need them. The filter allows me at the same time to organize myself a bit, or to allow to go back on old projects. One additional thing which is quite new on this release is, previously you were just able to enter the DC on the component level. Right now you can click the frame, the subsystem, and get an extra menu where you can enter the diagnostic coverage for the subsystem. Especially for subsystems which consist of multiple different devices with independent DCs, it may be necessary to enter such a DC directly, and right here I can enter 60% while I had in the element itself 90%, and it gets reflected and the calculation is changed accordingly. And I even can change the category, either to do it automatically through this system, so it does a calculation, or I can say, okay, no, this is only category 1 or category 2, and it changes accordingly. So right here I changed it to category 2, DC 60%, from initially a category 4 to 99%. Those are the main changes in the daily operation, and if you'd like to see other videos, we are showing it how to manipulate and operate with libraries. Thank you very much. Bye bye.